Don't look now, but Konnor Griffin had himself a great series against the Reds, and he's on a 10-game tear where he's hitting .405 with 5 extra base hits. We said all along there were going to be some ups, there were going to be some downs with him. This is one of the ups. Good morning, and welcome to OffBeat here on North Shore 9, presented by FanDuel. My name is Alex Stumpf. This is a daily look at your Pittsburgh Pirates. Konnor Griffin had a great weekend against the Reds. He had that 4-hit game on Saturday, and then on Sunday, I thought he might have hit it out, but hits a double off the top of the wall in the 8th inning, comes home to score the game's only run. Great series, but, it's going beyond just this weekend. 405 over his last 10 games. Now, whenever he got called up at 19 years old, he's 20 now, I said all along there were going to be some ups and downs. That there is really nothing here precedent-wise of someone who was in high school less than 2 years ago now playing in the major leagues with so little pro experience. And he was drafted, perceived as a bit of a project. He had a great year in 2025. That's why he rose the charts to become the game's top prospect. That's why 2026, the Pirates felt like, you know what? There's still learning to be done. There's still developing to be done, but we think he is our best option in the major leagues right now. We're going to have him play at shortstop. He is going to learn on the fly. He's going to learn by doing. And there has been learning by doing. And there has been those ups and downs. And it's probably best to not get too high or too low at any point. But right now, he's averaged out to being a major league average hitter and a great base runner. And the fielding has been, I think he's at -3 outs above average, according to Baseball Savant. I suspect that as the sample size gets larger and he gets more acclimated to the major league game, the glove will come along. But this is a really good stretch. And I'm glad I really dove into Konnor's swing the days leading up to this series. On my Substack, Book Roll Bucks, on Friday, I published a story on Konnor Griffin's first 100 Major League plate appearances. And I did it in part for two parts, really. One, I was genuinely interested to see what those first 100 plate appearances were like and what were his takeaways from it. And two, I kind of wanted to write it to have it just as like a historical point to look back on in either the next 100 plate appearances or the next 1,000 or a couple years or whatever it would be. I just kind of wanted to see the first steps of how his brain was moving, how he was thinking, because Konnor Griffin, he is very adamant in his work ethic. He works hard. He watches a ton of film on his swing. It's never going to be an effort thing with this kid. And looking at it, I noticed some tweaks from that swing that we saw really early on in his pro career to I used the Milwaukee series as kind of a reference point. And a big part of it was the front leg. And he cut down on his leg kick. And he got that front foot down early. And I used two pitches in particular, both fastballs kind of down the middle. The first one earlier on, whenever he didn't really emphasize that front foot. He didn't land on it perfectly. He said he was a little in between. He looked a little in between. He fouls the pitch off. Second one was against Mizorowski in Milwaukee. And it's another pitch, fastball right down the middle, gets the front foot down, doesn't exactly get the best barrel to it, but he puts himself in a really good position to hit, and he flares it out to right field for a base hit. And it's one of those things that I personally look at. It's just one single. It wasn't even that particularly well struck, but it's like, that's the process I like to see. That's the growth. That is a young player taking feedback from the major league game, taking feedback from the game and putting it into his cage work, putting it into the film and looking at, okay, what's going on here? Why did I not catch up to that fastball? Why was I not in the best position? And I look at the lower half for that and the adjustments that he made. It's like, okay, simplify. I like that. You know what else he's also simplified? The bat. He has less hand movement. He talked about it. I thought it was very interesting. He keeps his hands in one spot right now, and he has the barrel on his helmet. He said he just wants to know where it is. And it's one of those things that I heard that, and I'm like, you know what? I wish I had a little league coach explain that to me. But I like that mindset of like, you know what? I know where I know where the sweet part of the bat is right now. I've got to get that to the ball. We're gonna get it in one fell swoop, one honest motion, and that motion is a little shorter. He's cut down the swing a little bit. Like he's a tall dude, a big dude. I suspect he's always going to have a long, big swing, but it was a couple inches shorter in the last couple weeks compared to his first couple weeks in the majors. It's a more compact swing with a simpler motion on the lower half, and I'm not surprised at that simplification, being able to zero in on things, has yielded a stretch where he's hit 400. Now, I don't think he's going to be a 400 hitter down the stretch, but this is something that he saw. He's like, okay, how do I adjust? How do I get better? What am I learning from the game? What am I learning about myself? And he is applying it. And that is what I think is the biggest takeaway. The best thing, if I am a Pittsburgh Pirates fan listening to this right now, is that there's a guy who has the work ethic to strive to get better, but also is self-diagnosing, is collaborating, is just looking for those opportunities to get better. And you're not saying that he needed to do major swing changes, because it did not warrant major swing changes. I don't want to present this as, oh, he's been to the mountaintop and he has seen the light and he's changed everything. No, these are tweaks. These are minor adjustments that you make because you see how the game is played. There is no real simulation for a major league game. You could go into a hit tracks and hit, a simulation of what the pitcher is going to be, but that's not the same as seeing it live. And he's learning, and he's willing to learn. And that's the type of stuff that you want to see from a 20-year-old kid in the major leagues. Going to throw it to Cody for a second. We'll be right back with more on Konnor.
This episode is brought to you by IQ Bar, our exclusive snack hydration sponsor. IQ Bar protein bars, IQ Mix hydration mixes, and IQ Joe mushroom coffees are the delicious, low-sugar, brain and body fuel you need to win your day. The Ultimate Sampler Pack is a great way for you to try all IQ Bar products and flavors. You get 9 IQ bars, 8 IQ Mix sticks, and 4 IQ Joe sticks. All IQ Bar products are clean label certified and entirely free from gluten, dairy, soy, GMOs, and artificial ingredients. With over 20,000 5-star reviews and counting, more people than ever are fueling their lifestyles with IQ Bar's brain and body boosting bars, hydration mixes, and mushroom coffees. The Ultimate Sampler Pack includes all 3. My personal favorites so far have been the almond butter chip and the iced tea lemonade hydration mix. It's just really full of flavor. I love starting my day with it, and I couldn't imagine starting my day with anything else other than IQ Bar products. Right now, IQ Bar is offering our podcast listeners 20% off all IQ Bar products, including the Ultimate Sampler Pack, plus free shipping. To get your 20% off, text MLB to 64,000. That's MLB 64000. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details.
I talked to Konnor Griffin. I guess I should have also said for this story. This wasn't, hey, I noticed something. It was, I noticed something. I presented it to him, and I think just him seeing the GIF, like he was into the interview. I at least I felt like he was, because I pulled up the GIF that I put in the article, and he was immediately telling me what his takeaways on what he had changed were, like what was important to him, before I could even ask a question. So I like that. Best part of the conversation for me, though, was the quote I ended my story on. Konnor Griffin, quote, "The only thing that matters is competing one pitch at a time. Trying to control what I can control. Try to keep it simple." That means more than a 10-game stretch where he's hit 400. That means more than here's a guy who is willing to learn, who is willing to adjust to the game. It's that mindset. There are going to be tweaks to the swing and the offense and a lot of aspects of his game, I imagine, throughout his career. That should stay the same. That's what needs to stay the same. Just to have that ability to flush whenever things aren't going well. What can I control? Simplify. Whenever Konnor Griffin was called up, and I've had this conversation many times, it feels like already, from people within the organization, it was they felt he was their best option type of deal. And I have every time kind of responded like, I felt like he could have done some growing in AAA. I haven't had it pushed back. And that's not me saying Konnor Griffin should be in AAA right now, because I think we're kind of at a point that probably should just be up in the majors anyway. There was stuff that the AAA game could have taught him. I think those lessons could be applied here. But those lessons that he could have learned at AAA, that he is learning here, he doesn't seem overwhelmed by it. And not just in a, oh, he's carrying himself well type of way, but in a, I'm going to look at how can I get better? There's that constant drive. It's something that Ben Cherington has talked about a lot, you know, wanting players that have that drive, that desire to get better every day. Konnor Griffin is one of those players. And he's being rewarded for that hard work right now. And it would have been pretty easy, 10 games ago, where his OPS was in the 400s, and it's like, you know what? Was I rushed? Should I have spent a couple more weeks in Indy? That's not really how he's cut, though. And he's showing right now what he can provide to a major league team. That this immensely talented young man has the ability to be an impact player immediately. That's good. I would rather take his OPS still being in the 500s in this mindset, though, than just hitting 400 with the old setup that he had, where he is static, where he is not applying what he is learning. It's that growth mindset. And that's why I do think, I don't know if it's going to be, a big rookie campaign in 2026. I don't know if it's 2027. I don't know when it is, but at some point, I really do think this guy is going to be an impact player for the Pirates. He's been an impact player this past couple days, though. And the Pirates will take a win on Sunday that they might not have had without him. Thank you so much for listening to OffBeat here on North Shore 9, presented by FanDuel. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe wherever you find a podcast, or check us out on YouTube if you want to see my smiling face in Section 322 here at PNC Park. Thank you so much for listening. We'll talk again tomorrow.
All right, that wraps up this episode of North Shore 9. Thanks so much for tuning in, whether you're listening on the podcast or catching us on YouTube. If you enjoyed the show, please give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. It really helps us grow. And if you're listening on the podcast, a quick review goes a long way in helping others find the show. Plus, be sure to tell a friend about us. There's always room for more here in the NS9 community. And for those looking to support us a little more, consider joining our Patreon, become an MVP member, and get exclusive perks while helping us continue to bring you more of the Pirates content you love. Thanks again for all your support, and let's go Bucks.